Hello, hello. Today we've got a 6 marker and it's to do with circulatory systems of fishes and mammals. So pause the video here, try this question out and continue on to see how I answer it. Okay, so when it comes to 6 markers, especially when it's, to do with knowledge, so content, because there's compare and contrast circulatory systems, I used to find this quite hard because I'm someone who thinks a lot. Like, I've got so many thoughts that are running in my head. I'm like, I don't know how to write this out, And loads of people struggle with this as well. It's just you don't know where to start and you don't know how to do it. So when you have 6 markers that are about content, I'll teach you exactly how to go about it and how to think about it as well. So of course you read the question. And I've highlighted some keywords. So compare and contrast. What do they mean? The first playlist that's on my channel, the first videos I'd posted, are about explaining what command words mean. So I've got compare and contrast, where I go through like questions and how to answer them when those two command words come up. So if you want to refer to that, you can. So I've not compared them, I've highlighted them, and essentially I'm going to reword this question in a way that is easy for me. So I'm going to be like, right, tell me the similarities and differences of the circulatory systems of mammals and fishes. Compare contrast, aka similarities and differences. But then there's another level of like, okay, how do I even think about this? So you're telling me the examiner wants me to think of the whole like mammal circulatory system and the fish. I've only got some level of brain capacity. That's a bit too much, right? But don't worry. If you have a photographic memory, then this would be really useful for you. But if you don't, then force it. Anyways, so what I used to do was really analyse the diagrams when I revised this topic, and then I try to basically imagine it on a wall or just like on the ground or something that's away from my notes, and that way I could like really try and remember what is going on. So when it comes to fish, I would look at the diagram, I would talk through it to myself, like, okay, so we have gills, what happens there? Oh, there's a 2-chamber heart, da da da, right? And then I would stop, look away from my notes, imagine it, and then talk through it again. Basically like blurting, but you're not writing it, you're just saying it to yourself. So that really, really helped, okay? And just by using good images and good diagrams, it can really save you a lot of time in the exam when you are trying to jog a memory about it. So these are the 2 specific diagrams I actually used last year for my A-levels, and they were fantastic because now that I know how the diagrams look like, and I've essentially made like a framework in my head, I can go back to the question and be like, okay, so I need to do similarities and differences, right? Let's do this. So I would annotate around like the question over here, but like, okay, chambered heart, how many chambers does the heart have? Okay, I don't know, is it closed or open system? Like, by asking those questions based on the diagram, it really helped me to, I guess, think about the question much more easily and not get so overloaded and overwhelmed by it. So that's how I would go about like thinking it, and then how to actually answer it is just very simple. Do this layout, okay? Similarities as bullet points there, but then differences as a grid. I don't know about you, but before I figured out the whole grid method, like how I've written it here, I used to be like, okay, like as in paragraphs, right? Saying so mammals have a single circulatory system, and what did I say right now? I was meant to say fish. The fish have single circulatory systems, and mammals have double circulatory systems. Then I would say, okay, well then fish has 2 chambers in their heart, whereas mammals have 4. Yeah, that's fine. You're saying it as if it's a paragraph, as if the actual sentences, but who has time for that? Nobody. So just make it into a grid. And also, when you do it in this way, especially here, you can see how many points you have, and you can see whether your comparisons are actually valid or not. Because when it comes to 6 markers, if you contradict yourself, you're losing marks. If you say wrong things, think you'll also lose marks as well. Or maybe they'll ignore that, I'm not sure. But what we're trying to do is make this as simple as possible for you. Because I want you to get that 6 marks, but let's, use less time, but to maximise the amount of marks, you get. So yeah, let's actually look at the points, because I've spoken so much about how to do it. So similarities, they both have a closed system, both have a heart, and both have arteries. One of the biggest exam techniques I learnt myself was to state all the obvious points, and this is a great example of that. Come on, they both have a heart. Of course they have a heart. But it's like people don't say that. People think it's just too obvious. It's one of those points that you think, but you don't say. They both have arteries. Well, duh, it's a circulatory system. What else are they meant to have? So that's why state obvious points for similarities. State as obvious as you can. You need to imagine the examiners like a 7-year-old. Spell it out for them. Okay? Spell it out. Now, let's go back to here. Differences: easy, bish, bash, bosh, single, double, 2-chambered, 4-chambered, blood pressure's lower, blood pressure's higher, and stuff like that. I forgot to finish that, but I will finish it in a moment. So as you can see, first step, reword the question in a way that makes more sense to you. Secondly, if it's a content-based 6 marker, right, think back to any diagrams and images you have in your notes, and then annotate around the question, asking yourself questions such as CH, chambered hearts, what's the other one? You can be like, is it single or double? You can be like, does it fulfill their needs or not? Just ask those abbreviated questions around the paper or the page. Then it will allow you to jog your memory so that you get, you can just basically have an easier approach to answering it, because we don't want you to get overwhelmed. It happens to the best of us, right? We get very overwhelmed because there's so many so much information and content that's welling around your head, and it's in the actual paper, of course you're doing all the topics, or majority of the topics are in the paper, so your brain's going from A to B to C to D, so if you can make it easy for yourself, however way that might look like for you, this is how it looked like for me, but it might be different for you, then you can get the marks and you can actually enjoy the paper. I promise you, that sounds really foreign, but I never thought I would enjoy the papers, but I did in my A-level exams. So yeah, just by making easy for me, for you, you're going to have a smooth sailing experience. So yeah, memorize these points, by the way, and write them down in your notes because you're going to use them. This topic is so common in the exams, so you just might as well just, write them down, memorize them, and regurgitate them next time. And yeah, okay. Remember, the 2 most important exam technique tips are: read the question first and state all the obvious points, and we've seen how that's been very beneficial here. Okay, so try some questions out and let me know how it goes.